Welcome back to Beat, Feet, and Retreat Military History. Part 2 here is the reassembly of the Mauser M48A. The barrel is back in the stock. Some time has elapsed since the last video, so we've actually test fired this rifle, and it shoots wonderfully. I'm sorry I don't really want to take this barrel back out of the stock because once you get these barrels bedded, it really hurts the accuracy if you take the barrel out repeatedly. And I'm sure taking it out one time isn't going to do anything, but I'm OCD about my rifles, so I'm just going to walk you through putting the barrel back into the stock. The process to put this back together is literally the reverse of what we did in the first video. So you're going to flip the rifle upside down. You're going to put in your magazine and trigger pack, and then you're going to screw both of these screws a little bit at a time so that you don't get your magazine and trigger guard in here all cattywampus. You want to make sure you lock that smaller safety screw back here so that your screw doesn't back out on you. Then you're going to flip the rifle. You're going to put on this wood piece. Remember, you have to flip it around the sight. Then you're going to put this barrel band on. Now make sure you get the sling loop on this side of the rifle. And then you're going to put your spring under there. And then you can put on your final band right here. And then from there, you should have your fully assembled rifle minus the bolt. While I was cleaning this bolt or ridding it of cosmoline, I learned something valuable that I think I should share with you. I had the mineral spirit solution and all these parts were sitting in it, and I let it soak, for probably an hour, hour and a half, and I used the toothbrush to a great extent to scrub all these pieces. From there, I would take these pieces and then rinse them out with water, and then I'd let them dry. And what I found is, I'm not sure if it was from the mineral spirits or the cosmoline or a combination of the two, but the cosmoline, where it was still clumped up on here after it had hardened, would get this like white calcification on it. And then it was very easy to just take a copper brush. I'd suggest using a copper brush because a steel brush would probably be too abrasive. But I used a copper brush to knock those gunked parts off, and then I would just hit it with the oil and I was set. So definitely use the copper brush as well. I didn't do this in the first video, but I took this D10 out. It's very easy to get out. To put it back in, actually, you can probably see by me putting this back in how you take it out. You just press and twist, and that little black cylinder will slide into this groove right here. Then your detent's in place. And then from there, you can take your safety flag and put that in. Another thing I should mention is the floor plate and follower. You can clean this more by just sliding it out. You can see how there's these grooves right here. You can just pop these pieces off and clean the cosmoline under. I highly suggest doing that. Now we're going to put this back together, the firing pin and the spring, and we're going to do this at a different table because this table's too flimsy. For someone with most of their experience being with the Mauser, this bolt is pretty complicated. So the way it kind of comes together is you put your spring on the firing pin, and then you press down, and you want to make sure this rear locking piece has the tracks facing down. And when you put this together, you want to make sure you have the safety facing upward, and that's imperative. So now we're going to get this extractor back onto the main body of the bolt. And because I have baby hands, we're going to use the rubber mallet to get this thing going. You see you have these grooves right here that need to fit into the extractor on this side. What we're going to do is we're going to get that seated, and then we're just going to get it going with the mallet. And then you can see it's sitting there on its own, so I just got it going. So now what I'm going to do is I'm kind of going to use the mallet to push out, down, and over. And then you can see I have it started right there. It's no longer on the lip. So I'm going to give it a love tap. And it should snap into place like that. And I'm sure there's probably an easier way to do that, but keep in mind this thing's essentially brand new and unfired, and I have baby hands, like I said. So I'm going to give this a little dusting with lube because, well, I'm a lube guy. But we're going to screw this back together. You see the orientation we have it in. Safety flags up. That's a big deal. And you get to the point where it won't rotate anymore. You press that detent down. You get it past the bolt or the bolt handle. And then it locks. You can get, yeah, you can get the extractor lined up right. And that's a fully assembled bolt. So now for the fun part. Let's get the follower and floor plate back in as well as the bolt. So let's flip the gun upside down. And this is the correct orientation it should be when you put it back in the rifle. You'll see there's a little hook on this side. You're going to make sure that latches under the frame of the magazine well right here. And it should just snap right in. Yep. You kind of do like a rocking forward motion as you put it in. And, ooh, oops. And then now for the bolt. So you're going to pull this part again. And press your follower down. Do a function check. Awesome. I'm also going to take some of my trusty TW25B right here. I'm just going to put it right here on this track where the bolt rides. Kind of see that? And that is a fully assembled and cleaned Zastava M48 Mauser. Thank you for joining me here in part 2, the reassembly of the once caked in cosmoline Mauser M48A by Zastava. The next part will be the history as well as identification of the M48. It's important to be able to identify the Yugoslavian variant between the German variant because there's such a large difference in price. So all that in the next part.